Okay, that some break that was. Yeah, I didn't really want to go on hiatus that long, but it just almost 2 months. God damn. I actually recorded this chapter back in like March sometime, and I just was not satisfied with it. I didn't like it, so I'm redoing it now. It's uh late April. Oh God. If the thing that sucks is if I kept going at the rate I was, I would have finished part 1 on April 4th, Jonathan Joestar's birthday. That would have been really cool, and I didn't plan that at all. It just lined up that way, and yeah, well, I guess if I really want to, there's next year. I could just make this a year-long thing. But no, I don't want to do that. I love part 1. I like it. I want to talk about it. I don't want to put this off until next year. But anyways, we open the chapter with Jonathan. He's doing a little pose thing, and there's a ship behind him and a black backdrop. I don't get what the ship is for. Is it supposed to be foreshadowing? I don't know. But Jonathan's fit looks pretty all right. He's got like a diamond square thing on his shoulder. Yeah, no, he's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. So Dio's been shot. He's been shot outside, like, so he got pushed outside the window from the gunshots. And I don't know. I've never been shot several times in the chest or anything, but seems weird. Like the shots just propelled him forward in such a fashion that he crashed through the window and is like a considerable distance away from the window now. Well, whatever. George is dying. We get a cool panel where like the hilt of the knife is out of frame. That looks kind of interesting, but I'm noticing like right around the hilt there the border is just gone. Like I just noticed that, but whatever. So these Jonathan reaction faces have me kind of confused. Mainly the second one in the sequence, because it's like you got the first one, he's looking off to the side, he's concerned. Then the second one, his eyebrows are raised, he's like shocked. Then the third one, his eyebrows go back down to where they were, and he's like more concerned. It's just, it's weird to imagine those kinds of face. I feel like if you just got rid of the second face, this would be like a million times less confusing. Like, yeah, I don't know. And Jonathan's like, "Oh no, how did I let this happen? I can't believe it. You're only just gotten better now." And George is like, "Oh, take your mom's ring. I wore it on my pinky." And yeah. So there's this panel with like George's hand dropping. I don't know why, but for the longest time I thought like Jonathan's hand was actually George's hand, and he was like dropping the ring into Jonathan's hand. If any of that makes sense. And the motion lines are just the ring falling. I don't know why I thought that for the longest time, because that's clearly Jonathan's hand. But whatever. Everyone's freaking out about him. They're trying to get him treatment. Speedwagon's saying it hit a vital organ. Oh no. Oh no. And they're all just like, oh wow, I can't believe we allowed this to happen. And it's like, yeah, I can't believe it either. Like, we go back to the last chapter. They're all seeing him pull out the knife and the stone mask, and they're saying shoot him, but they wait until after George gets stabbed, and Dio has activated the mask to shoot him. So, like, yeah, no shit, you should have done something. But yeah, we get the who is this guy? Is he like the chief? Yeah, I guess we can call him the chief. The chief here, the guy with the unibrow, the balding guy. He's like, oh no, it's my fault because I let Neo's father go 20 years ago. And then Speedwagon's interested and goes to this flashback. 20 years ago when the chief dude joined the force initially. And yeah, we get a shot of flashback George. He's wearing like a plaid thing. Could be like a Scottish get up there in Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard, like whatever that is. I'm sorry. I'm not from there. I don't know these things. But yeah. So yeah, he called George to Scotland Yard because his ring got stolen, and they found it, and we got a really cool close up shot of this ring. It looks really detailed. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking ring. Like, yeah, if I saw that ring, I'd feel like selling it too. Yeah, he's saying we arrested it and we recognized the work of the jeweler, so they asked the jeweler and they remembered who he made it for, as in George Joestar. So yeah, that's how they know. That's how they know, and yeah, so George gets the ring back. He starts to cry, as is natural. So, like, in the shot where like he's tearing up when he has the ring, he has the other ring on his pinky. So, like, was the ring he gave Dario? Was that his ring, and then he's wearing his wife's ring on his pinky? I know it's like the tiniest thing to nitpick about, but you gotta know these things. You just gotta. You just gotta. And so the police dude, has a hat on magically. And yeah, he just has a hat on now. Like, geez, we just saw this guy. He had a full head of luscious hair, and you're gonna hide it under a hat? What the hell? Why? Why would you? Why? But yeah, they go down to the cell, and the guy's like, "Get up, Brando." And George is like, "Oh shit, Brando? That guy? Oh, well, yeah, I gave it to him." And it's like, "What?" Yeah, I gave it to him. And there's like this shot where like the hat jumps off of the officer's head as if it's shocked. It just feels so out of place here. I like it communicates shock, I guess. There's not really any motion lines unless you count the backdrop, but it's I don't get it. But like the main focal point here for the story is that George actually knew that this had happened. He knew that Dario tried to sell his ring, and in knowing that, he still took Dio under his wing. And that's like the whole point of his character. He's like, oh yeah, he's a really kind guy. He would do that. Which is, yeah, that's kind. This is pretty kind of him to do something like that. And yeah, George he talks to Dario, and he mentions that he was also born into poverty, and that he may have made the same decision to sell a ring like that if he was given an opportunity to do so. And he's telling him to renounce the evils of his past and live to be a good person. And Dario's like, eh? Just confused. And the officer's like, you're too trusting. He's gonna do it again and again. His soul is laughing at you. That's a line of dialogue. But yeah, and then the officer guy is like, oh, I should have thrown him onto that island prison. Lord Joestar would never have taken Dio in if that happened. Even though, is that true? Really, is that true? Think about it. So I don't really know, like, anything about how prison worked in 19th century Britain, but, like, would Dario have been allowed visitation from, like, Dio or something, or, like, any way to communicate with him? So I feel like if he was, then he could have just, had Dio go to the Joestar estate through that. Just tell him through that, and then, yeah, I don't know, but, like, it's a moment of grief for these characters. They're all taking guilt over what happened. So I guess it's understandable that the officer would feel bad, and that feel like that if he had done something differently, it wouldn't have had to happen that way. But yeah, Jonathan's like, oh, hold on, Dad, the doctor's coming. It'll be there soon. And George just like, don't hold this against Dio. It was my fault. I held you to a higher standard as your son by blood. Dio must have felt as if he was being treated differently. That surely led him to do this. Then he says, have Dio buried next to Mr. Brando. And that's a very small detail, but I guess it really does show that George kind of thought of it as like a fatherly love sort of thing, and that the reason Dio acted out in this way in George's mind was because he wanted a father's love, and he didn't get that from Dario, of course. And like George is feeling like he should have been able to do his best to fill that role, and he feels like he failed. And well, I'm hesitant to call it a wrong take, because like Dio has other reasons for like wanting to do this, like the whole narcissism thing. But I don't feel like George is really wrong for thinking this, because, like, Dio really was a neglected child in a lot of ways. And I'm not saying that at all justifies his path, what he has done and what he will do, but, like, I mean, like parental love, parental guidance is, like, a really important thing to have. And if you don't have that, then if you don't have that parental love, then it can make a lot of things harder. It could lead you down a dark path, and it could really like give you a disadvantage, a major disadvantage. So yeah, I kind of wonder if Dio would have really turned out that way, if he was born to parents who could actually have been there for him like he needed. But I digress. I'm getting really off track here. But yeah, George is dead. He just died. Yeah, there's this shock effect where Jonathan is shocked at George's initial death, and everyone's like, oh no, he's dead. Oh, it's my fault. No, it's my fault. No, it's my fault. All that stuff. And while this is happening, Speedwagon's like, wait a minute. That goodwill, that soul, that spirit, Jonathan has inherited it. That pride is his future. And stuff like that. And Speedwagon's like, well, normally I can't stand anyone who cries whenever something bad happens, but these two, they're noble people. They're the greatest fools of all. They have no regret for anything they've done. It's kind of cool. I guess it kind of explains away some stuff about that. But like, I always felt like Speedwagon's comment, especially on like the soul inheritance thing, was just really on the nose. I don't feel like it really needed to be that on the nose. Like, you probably should have said something that could have alluded to that. Because, like, if he just didn't say anything, it would have been a lot harder to pick that out, I suppose. And, well, this is Shonen Jump. This is directed towards children primarily. But, I don't know. I just feel like there should have been at least a little more nuance to that. And I guess it kind of ties into my complaints with Jonathan's character to this point, and his characterization, more so, I mean. But, yeah, anyways, Speedwagon notices, oh shit, Dio's gone. And, and then this graphic panel happens. I'm not gonna show it, but, like, I'm pretty sure most people know what I'm talking about. Where, like, Dio has, like, his hand and, like, pushes it through the cop guy's head, and like, the top half of his skull just juts forward. That's a really gory panel, and I don't know if this is really that apparent in the anime, but, like, his right eye jumps out of his skull, and like, hits his glasses as they're, like, falling off of his head. It's a really grotesque scene. But yeah, it's Dio has entered the mansion. He does his thing. Well, actually, no, I think he's technically still outside. He's hanging on the wall from the outside, and he reached his hand into the window to, like, hit the cop guy's head. And I don't know, I feel like he would have had to, like, zoom punch to get that reach. Like, maybe not, because, like, there's this panel where the cop guy's body is, like, kneeled down to the floor, and I feel like if he was standing up, maybe Dio might have been able to reach, but I just don't know. It seems like it's too far. But, yeah, Dio is a vampire now. He's breathing. Got a panel of him upside down breathing. That's a cool little panel. And then we get, like, the last panel of the chapter. It's Jonathan. He's crying. There's, like, some weird silhouette thing behind him. And it honestly almost looks like a stand. Like, Jonathan is starting to summon his stand. But, like, what's really confusing about this is, like, his mouth kind of suggests that he's hurt. It's like a mixture of sadness and pain, but, like, the mouth on the silhouette thing, the proto stand, I guess, it almost looks like it's a slight grin, even though that thing also has tears running down. It's just kind of an awkward thing, but yeah, that's the chapter. That took a while to get out to you, but yeah, here it is. So, regarding hiatuses, I really don't want to do too many of them, but I think it is likely I will take at least, like, a few days off between parts. Just because, different parts, different stories, kind of give it a little bit of a break. But yeah, I definitely don't want to take one nearly as long as this, because, like, if I didn't have to take this, we would be, like, a third through part 2 by now, and yeah, it's just unfortunate, really. But whatever, we'll do it. We'll get through. We will win. We will succeed. And yeah, I think that's all I really have. Oh yeah, during that hiatus, so I went to a bookstore and I bought a full part 1 set, like the first 5 volumes of the series in Japanese. And yeah, so I might do videos where I, like, look through those because like there are a couple of bonus little things. Like in the volume 1, there's like a letter from this one editor dude who's talking about some stuff. I'll probably cover that. There's also some other things get to look at. Just as a little tiny little bonus video, you know. But yeah, that's yeah. You can you can stop listening now.